operational impact and financial impact of payer contract language, right? And these paired contracts are different. Each contract will have its own set of verbiage, and they'll refer to certain provisions in certain ways. And what you want to do is you want to know how to interpret the contracts, and you want to be able to identify their operational impact. And so one of the benefits of Carenodes is that we're able to kind of translate all of this managed care mumbo jumbo into language that everyday people can understand and have structure, right? So let's say you want to find where the denial section is, as opposed to flipping through all these various pages, and there's no PDF to control F, and if there is, you can't control F, and you have to look and find what section is. Well, Carenodes will guide you through. And not only does it organize the contract and structure it for you to easily and very efficiently identify the terms of your relationship with a given payer, it also identifies remarkable facts about the contract. For example, what are some elements of the contract that, based on Carenodes' experience with literally thousands of payer contracts across the board, what about this contract stands out? The good, the bad, and what should you consider? And so this is the contract modeling and contract presentation element that essentially Carenodes advisory clients obtain once we do get a payer contract, or we assess a payer contract. I'm going to show you how it looks, just so you can get a sense of it, and kind of as you review it. Here's just a cover page, disclosure. It'll indicate the effective date. Essentially, here's a payer name. I kind of went over that quickly. Payer name in this example, and you see the tax ID is very important. The tax ID number is an important identifier so that you know exactly what contract you're referring to. The tax ID is like a social security number, right? So what exact person or entity do these terms apply, and as of when, right? So effective date. This is important information, and it'll tell you if it's a new contract or an amendment. How much of a hassle is it to try to piece together the amendments? And then, is there an amendment? Okay, you found amendment 1, but was there an amendment 2? And then you find an amendment that just says amendment. Okay, is this 1, 2, 3, right? So Carenodes will keep track of that by the virtue of standardized contract presentations, which are literally as long as necessary and as short as possible. So look at this. So it's broken down like this. So you first have the contract terms, language, and key provisions, right? Essentially here, it says entity TIM provided. This is just an example. You'll have the services for which the contract is essentially contracted to cover. And here are some, the payer description, for instance. Okay, cool, there's a contract, but how many patients are involved, and what kind of a plan is it, fun facts, or, just meaningful information so that you can understand the kind of market opportunity with this contract. Any incentive programs, here it will indicate. The back end of this contract presentation and analysis and modeling is far more extensive, and if something doesn't apply, it won't show up. So if you're a hospital and wondering, okay, what happened to any number of the provisions that might apply, then that's the reason it's adaptive format. And so, okay, incentive distribution, upload fee schedule. So a cool thing is you don't have to go looking elsewhere to find a fee schedule. You click on the link here and it downloads for you. Considerations. So this is again an example. So there's one consideration, and obviously you always have to check member eligibility and benefits, so please do consider that. And here, any remarkable notes about the fee schedule. There's nothing remarkable here to indicate. And lines of business. Are you taking Medi-Cal? I'm sorry, Medicare, or Medi-Cal perhaps if you're in California, with participating in the Medicaid program, and so forth. So then clearly how to operationalize the contract, and how to let your front desk or your intake process and how to program your systems so your intake is smooth and that you have a unfair competitive advantage in the marketplace. And so as we go on, remarks, as I indicated earlier, anything remarkable is indicated here. For example, you should know that the contract does provide adequate description. It says that the contract provides adequate description, and it says that the functions may appear fair and have input from physicians. Now, it's up to you throughout the course of your relationship with the payer to determine whether that's how you feel based on what you've seen. So it's good that, and that's a very, it's easy to miss that, right? in a large, a contract of many pages. And, the contract doesn't prohibit you. These are just some examples. But there are some very interesting considerations. We have fun with that, and so on. And so essentially, you always want to know, those were the key kind of elements, and then it goes into further detail. You always want to know term and termination. If you're negotiating, you want to know, okay, well, if I need to send a termination letter, what are my timelines? And again, you don't have to keep going through the contract. You can look here. But certainly always verify, right? Look, here is a guide, right? This is your spark note, so to speak, for you to be efficient and be able to make decisions in a way that will be conducive to your goals. And contract really is the lifeblood of the organization. And you want to know if the percentage that you're going to get paid is off of a percentage of Medicare or a proprietary fee schedule. Proprietary fee schedules could be set technically to 0. And you can have 1,000% of a proprietary fee schedule and 1,000% of 0 is. So you need to know. You need to know that. Easy to miss. And the roster. So often the question is, which providers are credentialed, right? Or contracted? It's a credentialed. Well, if this example had a roster similar to how the fee schedule downloaded, a roster would be also downloadable. Now, Carenodes assessment, whether we think this contract is generally something we can accept. There's only satisfactory, not satisfactory. 2 options there, and a copy of the contract, and if it's in negotiations, so the Word file will have the red lines. If it's a done deal, then it'll have the final PDF, and essentially that goes out to the client, the provider. And the provider has the opportunity to not take an entire day out of running an already incredibly difficult environment in this day and age to make a simple business decision. So that's a deliverable of Carenodes. It's one aspect of how we do business in terms of contracting throughout the workflow. When we do obtain the contract, we essentially model it, we process it, and then that's a deliverable. After that, the provider reviews it, and we generally have a meeting, discuss it. But by and large, folks have been finding that contract presentation sufficient, and they'll reply approved or yay, or ask a question or two, and it's been a good experience. Well, I hope you enjoy this. Let me know if you have any questions.